Here we go. Hi, I'm Alan Hills, and welcome to the College of St. Rose's movie review show, A Night at the Movies, brought to you by the campus production club, St. Rose Television. Let's cut to the chase. Christopher Robin, Disney's very first live-action Winnie the Pooh film, is now available on all forms of home media, and I have a special guest to help me critique it. She's one of SRTV's newest members, and she's a forensic psychology major here at St. Rose with a newly declared minor in film and new media. She is Rebecca Mielnicki. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for coming on. It's so great to have you and to have you discuss this movie. It should be really fun.
I'm excited. I'm happy to be here.
So, my impression of Christopher Robin is that it was very cute, it was very heartwarming, yet it was surprisingly dramatic for a Pooh film, but I really think it was what it needed to be, for Christopher Robin to go back to what really defined his life so much and everything. What's your take on the movie, and what do you feel about what I said? Does it differ? Is it equal? What do you think?
I generally have to agree with what you said. It was quite dramatic, but I think it really did help with bringing on the message that it was trying to portray, like about really happiness and growing up and all that fun stuff. I think the dramaticness was needed to really portray that in the movie.
Yeah, it was needed. It really was. Towards the beginning of the movie where he grows up, goes to boarding school, and goes to war, he's like in the middle of a battle, and there's a house exploding. I'm like, this is a Pooh movie. It's so weird and everything.
Yeah, but it was really vital to Christopher Robin's development and why he turned out as he was as an adult. And then that really came into towards the end of the movie when he flipped back after that childhood wonder came back to him. So I feel like that was necessary, Like it was very dramatic, but it definitely helped with the meaning of it.
Yeah, it was very necessary, and I thought Ewan McGregor did a great job. I mean, he's the last person that I would have thought of to play that role personally, but surprisingly, he really was the right choice for the role. And I think the most special element of the movie, aside from that, is the animation of the characters. Even though they were CGI, they were designed to look like moving stuffed animals, and I thought that was pretty nostalgic, wouldn't you say?
I would agree. I really did like the design for almost all of them. I only had a slight problem with Tigger. I feel like the stripes should have been more prominent. He didn't look quite like the Tigger I remember as a child. But overall, I loved the way they were designed, the way they moved. It didn't feel quite like CGI, but it did at the same time. It had a nice aspect to it.
It really did, yeah. The characters were so beautifully animated. And I agree with the Tigger thing, by the way. Tigger's a tiger, and he's orange, so yeah, they could have done a little better with that. But I love that they brought back Jim Cummings for both Pooh and Tigger. He's been the voice of both those characters for the past 15, 20 years, and that was pretty special. But yeah, overall, it is a really special, nostalgic movie. And do you remember, 15 years ago when, during the kids' hours on Disney Channel, it was Playhouse Disney?
I do.
Yeah, they had the show called The Book of Pooh, where occasionally they, aside from the cartoon, they'd show them as moving puppets on real life sets. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it reminded me of this. The way that it had the moving stuffed animals and just the storyline. I like a lot of the stuff they brought back. Like they brought back the old songs, like the one Pooh sings in the morning and Tigger's theme song and all that fun little cute stuff that reminded me of my childhood watching the Winnie the Pooh. And I hope that everyone else who now watched it now, who didn't have that as a child, likes it as much as I did.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah, I watched this movie last night, super last minute, and I totally forgot all about those songs, until they brought it back. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember those. And I even forgot about, all the heffalumps and woozles. So many things I forgot. I remembered less than I thought I did. It was pretty nice. And you said you almost used a line from this movie as your senior quote. Tell me about that. What was the story with that?
Well, I really wanted to use the one line that Pooh says in the commercials, they say nothing's impossible, but I do nothing every day. Because I really liked the way that line sounded when I saw it in the commercials. But by the time the commercials had came out, it was too late to submit a different senior quote. So I sadly couldn't. But I loved the line and the message it had behind it, because at the same time, it still proved that you can do anything.
Yeah, yeah, it did. Yeah. Well, what was your senior quote instead? What was your alternative?
I used a senior quote by Thomas Edison.
Oh, nice. Nice choice.
It was, hold on, can't think of it. I did not fail 10,000 times. I discovered 10,000 ways that won't work.
Yeah,
I
know that
probably
quote.
Misquoted it slightly.
Yeah, no. I know what you're talking about. I love that quote. That is a very good quote. And one other thing I wanted to ask you. There have been slight talks, I think, for a sequel, and Ewan McGregor's open to it. Do you think that would work, and is that something you'd want to see personally? I think if they took it in the right direction, it would be very nice, and I think they could, build their audience and, have a chance to make more money and, make it more lighthearted in a sense, so families can bring their kids and, they can feel happy, although the drama was necessary to bring grown-up audiences back into their childhood. But I think they have a good opportunity to do some more things. What do you think about that?
I think if they did do a sequel, it would have to focus more on his daughter, which I'm completely open to, but I would really, if they were to do a sequel, I would like to see his daughter in the 100 Acre Woods and her adventures in it, kind of like a take on the old cartoons, but live action, and instead of Christopher Robin, his daughter.
Yeah, no, I agree with you totally. I didn't even think of that. We've gotten Christopher Robin for such a long time. I think we need to pass it on to another kid.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think of that. As iconic as Christopher Robin is, but what better choice than his daughter? That'd be really great. I totally agree with that.
And then you'd also get to see like a little girl's perspective, because Christopher Robin was like a little boy and got that perspective. So it'd be a nice, interesting take on it to switch it around like that.
Yeah, no, that would be a very interesting take. I would very much like to see that, and I'm sure if they did do a sequel, they would make it. I think they would make it very good. Sadly, this movie didn't get the best of reviews, although it did get good enough reviews. It's like a 70 on Rotten Tomatoes, so people did like it, and I feel that the more movies they make, they will give themselves more chances, to get better received. Although they don't really need to. It was a great movie, but still, the point is they should do more things. So, any final thoughts on the movie? I personally thought it was a great movie, flawless. How would you sum it up?
I overall thought it was very enjoyable. I definitely could recommend it, especially for like families, because even though it had that drama, it still had that childhood wonder and a good underlying message. So I say you should go watch it because I enjoyed it. But that's me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Everyone should watch this movie. It's very nostalgic, and audiences should go back to those childhood memories. It was really nice. Well, unfortunately, Rebecca, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for coming on and providing your input. It was so fun to have you. I hope to have you on the show again.
Thanks for having me. I quite enjoyed it.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been fun. Once again, I'm Alan Hills, and this has been A Night at the Movies. Thank you for watching, and see you next week.